Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tech Smash Bros. This is episode 39, and today I catch up with my good friend John once again, but it never gets old. And today we talk about the pros and cons of raising puppies. I recently got a puppy 2 weeks ago now. It seems a lot longer, especially because my life has changed quite significantly. And I've already racked up some experiences that have triggered a lot of thoughts about it. So I share those in this podcast. John has had his puppy for 11 years, so he has a lot more experience than me. And yeah, that's a topic we talk about. And this episode marks the first episode, I think, of a more structured agenda that I have for the podcast going forward, where every week I'll try to have a theme that befits the relationship that with a friend that I have on this podcast. Doesn't mean that we won't digress. I mean, if the conversation kind of naturally flows to an interesting area or one that we're both engaged in, I'll just we'll still talk about it. But if there's like an awkward silence or we've explored that digression quite fully enough, we'll just go back to the theme that we have assigned for this podcast episode, or whatever the week's podcast episode is. So yeah, without further ado, hope you guys enjoy. And we're on the record. Welcome back, John. This is episode 39 of Tech Smash Bros, which I think I'm going to rebrand to a different title.
Why?
What?
Because you don't want to limit it to just tech and
Kind of. I
smashing
mean,
bros.
I don't know if you work in. Do you work in tech?
I mean, yeah, I work in a auto like a auto. What do you call it?
Okay, yeah. So you work in
Automobile?
tech, whatever.
Yeah. I work in a
You're like, I
software.
don't want to say too much.
Yeah, I work in a software company.
I see. Yeah, but it's like if I have guests that don't work in tech, I want to be able to welcome that as well. Like I don't want to be limiting myself to a theme. I mean, it's really just talking to my friends. So
Yeah, you shouldn't limit yourself to bros either.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
well said. I don't know if you meant that as a joke, but that's true. So I'm just thinking like I should rebrand and kind of change my name. I even made some like a different cover art as well.
You had
Uh,
art?
what?
I didn't even know you had art. I never
Oh
like
yeah, like there's a
yeah.
cover, podcast
Oh
cover.
yeah, okay. That's cool.
So we'll see. But yeah, I might change the podcast name. But for now, it's Tech Smash Bros. I will take a few days to do all the things I need to before I rebrand. Episode 39. And today's topic, we're doing this a little bit differently, where we're trying to add more structure to our conversations. But the topic for today, we'll have like 10 different topics for every week. The topic for today is the pros and cons of raising puppies. So I recently got a puppy like 2 weeks ago. Her name is Ellie. She's 4 months old. And I'm
Yay.
raising, it's been 2 weeks since I've had her and just raising her. And uh, it's very difficult. I'm sure there are pros too. I have a thought, an opinion about like the pros and cons of raising a puppy. And then John, I'll let you introduce your experience with puppies.
Hi, I'm John. So I've actually been with dogs since like elementary school. I have had a retriever, a border collie when I was living in the States for about 6 years, and then we had to uh, send them like with like place them with acquaintances' house until their death after I left. And then I think it's around like 2010 or 11, I adopted a dog from a rescue center.
Oh,
She was approximately 2 or 3. They can't really be too sure what rest like adopted dogs because they don't know exactly when they're born.
mm-hmm.
And so it's been like 10, maybe 9 years. I think 10 years around, and she's around 13 to 12 years old now.
Oh,
And overall, I'm very much a dog person. So yeah, if I remember correctly, you didn't really have a fondness for dogs when
no, I
in
have
the
one because it
past.
makes my girlfriend happy.
Oh, that's
It's
very generous of you.
yeah. it makes me happy to see her happy, but it's there's some costs and responsibilities and some stresses to it that
Oh yeah, there definitely.
undermine that happiness a little bit. But that's primarily why I got a dog. So you're a dog person. I'm of the stance. I think I don't know if this is right. I don't know if I should be saying this if I own a dog, but I don't feel the need to own a dog or have a dog. Um, and like the before I owned a dog, what I told my girlfriend was like, I feel like people get dogs because it's very self-serving. They get a dog because they want to stave off their own loneliness. They want companionship for their own loneliness. They're not getting a dog for the dog, so it's like a very selfish decision. Um, so there's nothing noble or um, like fundamentally good about carrying and owning a dog, unless it's like for a rescue center and just saving the dogs. But if you make a decision to own the dog, I feel like at the center of it, it's a selfish decision. Um, so those are my thoughts. I still hold on to that thought. Like I'm owning a dog right now. Like I don't get much joy of owning a dog, but I think my girlfriend likes owning a dog because she gets joy from owning a dog. So it's a selfish utility driven decision. Anyway, that's my
Yeah.
stance. But I don't know if you
Yeah.
agree or not. But
No, no, no. I agree in the sense that it's a lot of times it's for selfish purposes, and I also see a lot of. I do community service sometimes to pounds because, like, you
pounds,
know,
what is that?
uh, where they like have dogs that are abandoned or
Oh, you
like
do community service for the
yeah, I
like
do
a
it
dog
actually
abandoned.
pretty often, like once every 2 weeks or something. I'm not sure.
Really?
I'm not sure if that's often or not. Anyway,
That's
point
often.
being,
That's pretty often if you have a full time
uh,
job too. Yeah.
point being, I know a lot of people. I know it's an issue in Korea too, but I'm pretty sure it's an issue everywhere. A lot of people just get dogs as like a almost like a toy, like a value added item that is just appeasing to them because it's cute or
Right.
like you said gets helps them with their loneliness.
Right.
uh so I see why you have that kind of view, though it is a negative view. And like you said, I don't know why you have a dog if you have that mind, even if your girlfriend is kind of
Well,
into it.
I will, I think I will still treat the dog with respect. I think the dog knows though who like has more affection towards
Oh
the
yeah,
dog.
they know.
Like they can
They know.
tell, they can
Yeah, they
perceive like
know.
the difference between like true love and like responsibility and just parental care. I think they can tell the difference because my dog, her name's Ellie. She would gravitate mostly towards my girlfriend rather than me.
That's only
Like
natural though. Like that's not limited to dogs, isn't it? That's like it with humans as well.
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of parallels and like lessons you can learn from like raising a dog that you can probably take if you raise a child, a human child too. Um, but I didn't know dogs would be able to tell the difference too. Like
uh,
I feel like the dog only comes to me because he thinks of me as like the treat giver. I'm like the materialistic, like pleasure person. And if the dog sits, the tail isn't wagging when the dog sits like in front of me. Because I think it registers that it's this behavior that they'll have to do to be able to get what it wants. It's a very logical decision. But when the dog like sits in front of my girlfriend who's about to come home or about to open the gate, like she starts like wagging her tail very vigorously. Um,
I see.
so that's one of the telltale signs. Anyway, but you did say you think most people have that um,
I
attitude
mean,
of owning a dog.
innately they do. Maybe they don't want to admit it, but I think in the end it is to alleviate some of your own tensions that maybe you have inside that you don't know about. I mean, it does bring you some level of joy. Just, I mean, I don't know about you. I guess you don't seem like a much of a dog person, but if you like, dogs in general or animals, small cutie things in general, I think just looking at them gives you some sort of pleasure.
And
And a lot of
that's
people just kind of like adopt them or buy them without really thinking about the nasty side, like the picking up the poo and going to the vets and then taking care of them when they're really, really sick and about to die, and it does not look pretty at that stage.
yeah.
And there is a lot of emotional attachment to it that you do have to learn to let go of at the same time. Uh,
Wow.
but I feel like dismissing it solely as a personal satisfaction or
Mm.
how do you call it? Like what did you say it was?
Like
Like
I purely selfish decision or
yeah, purely
fundamentally
selfish,
selfish.
fundamentally, fundamentally, I think it is a selfish decision. But purely, like, if it's a pure selfish decision, I'm not sure. I
Mm.
think there's a lot of other like emotions at play and reasons, and it's subject to scrutiny. The
Yeah, I
way you
guess.
put
But
it,
if it's
yeah,
but if it's to serve your own emotions though, isn't that selfish too? But I think but you said you got your dog from a rescue center. So I
yeah.
wouldn't say that's like fundamentally purely selfish because you were helping a dog that probably didn't have a home. Um, and you made the deliberate decision to get one from rescue center. And
Oh,
plus you also serve at a community service, so you really care for dogs, it seems. So I would say my experience, based on my experience, which is just anecdotal, like you're an exception, which and that's not the majority. I would say like the majority of people that I've seen have dogs, it's they get dogs because it serves their emotions. And you said you look at a dog, they think it's cute. Uh, so a lot of maybe okay, fundamentally selfish or mainly selfish. There will maybe some like other reasons that are like less selfish, but they take less precedence and less priority than like the pleasure that you derive from owning a dog instead of your care, your desire to save a dog.
okay. So I don't know. Like, I know why you say that, and I agree to a lot of extents. But
Hmm.
at the same time, like I've seen like a lot of the reasons why there's so many rescue houses and pounds. I'm not actually sure if it's called the pound, but anyway,
Let me look that
but
up. Yeah.
it's in Korea. We have these breeding houses. So there's these dogs specifically made, kept, maintained
Uh-huh.
for breeding puppies,
Uh-huh.
and that if effectively comes from the need to sell. It's a form of consumerism that people, like you said, they want there's for their selfish reasons. Maybe they want to buy a certain, and it's usually just for mainly for like not branded. What do you call those? Like breed, like special breed dogs, like poodles or like what do you call those? Like
Cross.
bichon or beagles and those famous breeds.
Okay.
And a lot of times, what it does is it puts the breeding dogs in a very unhospitable, what do you call those, environment,
Mm-hmm.
which makes them ill, which in turn actually does isn't really healthy, which in turn doesn't really get them a healthy baby, a
Right.
puppy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously there are good
Dog breeders.
breeders,
Yeah.
yeah, that put the dog's health in priority and that like to emphasize that healthy environment is important for the dogs. These aren't just like manufacturing centers where you could just like pump out puppies every, like I think they do it like almost twice a year because apparently dogs can get pregnant at least once a year and they could do it almost until the last year of their death. So literally they're just like forced to have babies until like they're you know at the age when
Hi.
they die.
Yeah.
So and a lot of the dogs that come to pounds are usually from those places. And there's
Oh.
also obviously a lot of people who just kind of like give away their dog. And I mean, it's a nice. It'd be good if they give it if they give them away. But there are a lot of people who just like literally drive off to some remote city or a remote town and just leave the dog there because they don't want to like throw it away in their own neighborhood because they'll find a way back where someone will know it's
Oh
their dog.
no.
So
That's
there's those
terrible.
cases.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously another big one in Korea is the dog eating places, which are
Right.
now,
Oh, because
yeah,
Korea eats puppies
yeah,
or
yeah.
dogs. Oh, right. Right.
So they're apparently a different breed of dogs,
For eating.
but yeah, yeah, you don't eat poodles and stuff because it's I think it's purely for a commercial reason. They cost more if you make more if you sell those rather than just to eat it.
Right. Okay.
But the point being, it's mostly frowned upon nowadays. It's not illegal. I know a lot of the provinces are trying to make it illegal, and it's actually kind of becoming a very topic in some political regions.
Interesting.
So personally, I like to see that stance.
I
But
see.
anyway, point being, those are another type of dogs that come to these rescue centers. So in
I
that sense,
see.
I feel like if you're gonna get a dog, I mean adopt. honestly,
from
I
the
feel
pounds or
yeah,
these
yeah,
other
from rescue,
cruelty
yeah, yeah,
environments.
from the rescue center. But the thing you should know if you do adopt is a lot of the dogs are emotionally traumatized, so
Right.
they're like depressed dogs.
Uh-huh.
So my dog wasn't she wasn't I don't think she was in like a baby making factory or like a puppy making factory or like a I feel weird calling it a factory, but I'll just call it that. I don't know the English word for it.
Oh,
And or she wasn't like a dog meant to be eaten.
okay.
She was just like a runaway dog or something, and
Stray dog.
yeah, stray dog, and she was like living around in like some uh restaurant areas, and then the restaurant owners were kind enough to like take care of her for a while, but then obviously there are people who don't like dogs and who probably don't like dogs even more when they're around their food. So
Yeah, yeah.
they made some complaints and she was sent to the pound and she was like going around, and then she was supposedly to get Alexa, what do you call Alexa? Put down?
Oh,
Like
euthanized. I think
yeah,
that's the word.
euthanized. And then
Yeah.
because what these dogs do is before they get adopted, they have to get like, used to humans, so they go to temporary houses. So some
Like
people yeah,
adopt them for a little bit.
yeah, adopt them for a couple
Oh.
months because some of
Uh-huh.
them have so little socializing skills
Yeah.
that it's like if you know what you're doing by adopting it, you'll understand. But people who just like first time people who go like, oh, I want a dog, and if they adopt these kind of dogs, they're gonna be like, oh, it's not what I expected, and they have more chance of actually throwing them away again.
Hmm.
So these sort of things, so that the dogs also get adjusted to human, uh, what do you, how humans carry themselves as well. Anyway, hoping she got adopted, but she was so depressed that like I
Oh.
literally did it. I thought they like made
When you
did
first got
surgery.
her
Yeah, I thought they did surgery on her like
somewhere.
on her no on no on the thing that makes her bark or her voice canal, I guess,
Oh,
because she
she
wouldn't
didn't bark.
bark or make a single noise. I was like, oh my god, they like removed her voice
Box or something.
module voice
Yeah.
box, right? And then she also like her tail was always like down, so I was like, oh, I guess she's one of those dogs that just don't have like a curled tail, or like that's one that's always up. But then and after a
Oh.
while she did like her tail curled up and she started barking. I don't know if you could hear, but she was like barking just a couple seconds ago.
Uh-huh. I did.
So
Yeah, yeah. That was
you
kind of
did you
cool.
do see a lot of these changes, and this may be another selfish factor, but I got a lot more happiness, personal happiness as well, and a lot more like it's also another selfish thing. Selfish thing. I
Right.
saw that I personally was doing a better thing by adopting dogs rather than just getting like a famous breed one from like a you know breeder. I mean, they're doing good breeders are doing their own good service or deed by
Yeah.
trying to like do away with these like puppy making factories or just give out better knowledge or providing better healthier environments to dogs. But
Yeah.
in the end, I can't say that I what I'm doing is out of greed. Isn't out of greed,
Or
but I
selfishness. Yeah.
yeah out of like selflessness.
Yeah.
There is a selfish aspect to what I do as well, but it's yeah
Here's the thing. I
that's
think I think
yeah
what you're saying also, you're describing all these places that dogs grow up in. So if you take a dog to a loving home, you're removing them from those cruelty free, like those cruelty areas, and you're bringing them like a more loving home. So it's good for the dog. So I think the point is also like, even though it's a selfish decision, it's not a bad decision. It can be
yeah
both good and selfish.
yeah.
Yeah.
My point being is that if you don't eventually if you don't get the dog's gonna end up in the streets
Somewhere
or
else or
somewhere else or
die. Yeah.
die. So yes, it is for a selfish reason. And even what I do, like even if I volunteer, if I adopted a dog, it is innately still for a selfish reason. It
Yeah.
might even be more selfish because I feel better by doing this as well. But
But it's also
and
good for the dog.
it's also good
Possibly.
for the
Yeah.
dog. So
Especially given where she was
I can't
before.
really condemn that kind of that thing either because I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen the horrible parts of it where where they don't end up getting taken in or adopted or yeah, there's so it's I think it's better even if it's for a selfish reason.
Yeah, and I think that's why. Yeah, I think I don't think I should try to condemn it. Like, there are many things that are like both good and selfish. Some would say capitalism is also good, right? It's selfish, but it eventually, with the invisible hand, like the markets tend towards the collective good. But anyway, that's a different topic. For me, it's like it's not. wouldn't be selfish. I I don't have enough of a selfish drive for owning a dog to own a dog. Um, so that was, I think that's one of the reasons I pointed out the selfishness. If it's mostly a selfish decision and I don't derive joy from it, then I am not motivated necessarily to own a dog. Now
Yeah,
I do
and
have a dog because my girlfriend really likes a dog and it brings her joy. Um, so yeah, just because it's a selfish decision doesn't mean it's bad. Probably in many cases it's a good decision, especially with what you did. All right, so we have pro number one. It brings you joy, and it also, if the dog came from a cruelty place, then it also gives a better life for the dog. Um, Now, as a con for me, I was like raise a puppy right now.
hmm
It takes so much time. So my dog is 4 months old right now. Hasn't had her shots yet, and we've had to like restart her vaccination series because the first vaccination she had when she was with the prior owners, it was just too long before her like next shot. So we're just giving like another boost around. I don't know if this is a ploy by the vet to make more money, but when you don't know what's best for your puppy, you just listen to the authorities and you just say yes to almost everything. Uh,
that's true. Yeah,
yeah,
so that's kind of same for
which is also,
humans.
yeah, so yeah, con number one right there, the vet, or I don't want to badmouth the vet service or the pet service, but because like pets and vets are like a lesser known area than like human related matters like human health or whatnot. And if you're a first time owner, you might be more inclined to say yes to many things, um,
That's true.
from the vets or like vet medical care or pet related stuff. So con number one, you might spend a lot more money than you should, and um, the vet service and third party services that you work with, you might start doubting them. Like you might be skeptical of like their intentions and whatnot. I mean, one story that I have, I was with the vet and then they recommended. So my dog had Giardia. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a parasite in their stomach. So they had to take Panicur, a medication, like a powder medication, to get rid of it. They took it for like 3 days. The dog took it for 3 days, but then she vomited. So I was like, "What's going on?" So I like went to the vet. They checked her out, and then wait, did I? No, I didn't even take her to the vet. I just called the vet, and the vet said, discontinue the medication. So I discontinued the medication, but I'll still. The first thing that I have to take care of first was like stop her vomiting, make sure she's okay. But then afterwards, I have to think: is it Giardia? Is there like parasites still there? So I took her to the vet again, or called the vet, and then the course of action that they recommended for me was to start another medication and then get her fecal test, like her get a poo sample, and then see if she still has a parasite or whatnot. Um, Ellie also, when she stopped like the panicker, she also looked like lethargic. So the vet also recommended that medication because she thought it would help her stomach upset that likely caused her to be lethargic.
hmm
So that was a recommendation for me. So what would that cost? That would cost another set of medication, and plus my dog might there might be some side effects with that medication. And the vet didn't even tell me of the potential side effects of Panicur, the first medication I gave, which
hmm
includes vomiting. After I did some internet research, but the vet didn't even tell me that. Just gave me that medication. Um, so yeah, so I was like, I don't even know this medication, but I learned from my first experience that the vet don't tell me like the side effects. So I was like, I don't want her to go through another medication series and like get another other set of side effects. And then two, why do I take the fecal test now? Why don't I take the fecal test now instead of later? See if she still has a Girardi or not. 'Cause she did take 3 days of the Panicur. So I had like many questions with that treatment. It just cost more than me just taking the fecal test now, see if she has a Giardia, and then decide later if, depending on the exam results, if she has a parasite or not. Then decide if I should take the medication or not. Like it would save me so much more money. So that's what I recommend to the vet, and the vet's like, "Oh yeah, that works as well." So the vet herself didn't recommend a financial or like a medical plan that's uh like financially more efficient to me than when I thought of one and I recommended to her and then she like cleared it and said that was okay. So that's an example of like how the vet by themselves didn't quite make, I think, the most efficient and optimal decision considering
But
like my
I
dog's
feel like
health
that's more
plus
of a
finances.
human error. Like you see that in like people doctors all the time too. Like they
People
don't
dogs.
make the people doctors
Oh,
like
people
human
doctors,
like
human doctors.
doctors. I'm sorry, I forgot you call.
People doctors, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah.
You,
Um,
you see that in human doctors too. Like I mean,
that
I
might be a thing
remember.
too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I remember when I had malaria, I went to one of the most expensive hospitals in Korea, and I was like, "Dude, I know this is malaria." And then the doctor's like, "Dude, I know better. Shut the hell up." And they got me on like some like medical test and like course for like 3 days until they were like, "You know what? It might be malaria. Let's do a test." And then they gave me a report back 2 days later, and it's like, "Yeah, it was malaria. Here we're giving you a new set of medicine." I was like, "So what the fuck was that other 4 days for then?" No, it's
Yeah,
same. So it's more of
it
a
is. You're right.
doctor thing
It
than more
is.
than a.
I think for the vet though, at my first exam, I said yes to everything because I didn't know anything. With your own body, you're more inclined to maybe question a little bit, and you know your body a little bit more. But when you don't know something, when it's something so new, especially when a dog can't communicate and you have like even less information to work with, like you're more
Okay,
inclined to say
then
yes to.
what about that's the same thing with kids. If you have a baby, you're gonna be even more worried than when your dog is sick, and you're gonna probably take in almost any suggestion that the doctor would say is probably gonna be for the better of the kid. I feel like in that
Possibly, yeah.
sense, it's this is more of like
Like an
the
infant
situation of you
care.
not knowing enough compared to the person who is, treating your kid or your dog in this case, or and not regarding medication and whatnot. So
True,
it's
true.
it's it's
Fine.
this
So
this
it's a
situation
con
that
that's not exclusive to dogs, but you do
right.
have it with the
It's
dogs too.
it's a con that comes
With
out of
the
any
babies.
situation that you don't know enough about. That you're put in a situation where the counterpart knows much
Okay.
more than you.
No, that's well said. Yeah.
It's the
So
risk that you have to take in any sort of those situation. I feel
any
like.
situation that you're unfamiliar with, and the
Mm.
dog is falls under that category. So that's it's not an exclusive like disadvantage, but it is.
But it is
I think
something that comes
it
out
is
of
a
yeah,
disadvantage.
yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
So just less information makes you more inclined to like say yes to everything. And so it's just you spend more. You will always spend money on certain things like to protect things and to make informed and sound decisions. You might get insurance for yourself or whatnot too. But I think there are some decisions that you make that you're just less certain about, and you just agree with, and you just have to trust like third parties more, and that just can make you more like that can make you feel more uneasy. And taking care of a dog and the financial costs, I think falls under that category. I think it's accompanied by like that uneasiness of like I don't exactly know, but I will check off and agree to the things that this third party expert and authority is telling me. But again, like you said, not an exclusive disadvantage to the dogs, but it is, I think, one con that comes with the dog. So
Okay,
that's one con.
there's okay. My turn for a pro. Going on, like continuing off with the hospital or veterinary thing, uh,
Okay.
theme. Uh, One of the pros of having dogs and pets, I guess in general. Although I did hear it's not the same for cats, is
Uh-huh.
that uh, as an infant, when you live with dogs, it lowers your chance of having, I believe it was like asthma or like
Really?
hay fever and a lot of different allergies because it raises your metabolism and well, not metabolism, but 면역력. What
Immune
do you call
system?
that? Immune system. Yeah,
Because you're exposed to more germs by the dogs when you're at a
yeah, and
young age?
apparently like that
Mhm.
that and there was a reason why it was a little more different than dogs and cats was because cats carry a different type of pathogen than dogs. So some people are like innately allergic to cats, even if they have it at like an early age, or I'm not sure if that's how immune systems work, but I
Uh-huh.
did hear that's one of the benefits. So they were like, if you're gonna have a pet, you should start having it
At an
at an
early
early
age.
age. It does help them with their immune system,
I see.
and I think it does provide companionship for the kid, although it may be stressful for the dog. Probably will be.
Mhm.
Another thing is I always. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't see it this way, but I think like you said, taking care of a dog is a lot of work, time consuming. At least for me, it puts my life in a schedule because my dog has to go out like 3 times a day. So I try to walk her at least once or twice, and then my other family members would try to walk her at one or two more times. So she goes like 3, 4 times a day,
Yeah.
and it's different for breed. But a lot of the mixed breeds in Korea,
Uh-huh.
mixed breeds are usually the ones that end up in pounds. That's why you see a lot of like uh pit bulls, not pit bulls. Like what's that illegal dog in America that every dog is almost like mixed with bulldogs?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
I
some.
think there are some illegal race
Yeah,
breeds,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
don't know.
Anyway, the that it's in Korea, the breed that's most mixed. Like that's almost in
Yeah.
like every dog, a mixed dog in Korea is like obviously the Chindo breed, which is the native Korean dog, and one of their fe- features, characteristics. I'm
Features,
thinking of
characteristics.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say.
One of their
Yeah.
characteristics is that they really don't poop or piss in the house, which is if you're like
Oh, pit
a
bulls.
yeah, pit bulls, yeah.
Oh.
And a lot of the dogs, pound like dogs and like Rex Skinners or pounds in the states are a mix of pit bulls, I believe.
Oh,
Partially
and
because
that's
they're
a
also illegal in some
yeah. I just
states.
look. This is the most commonly banned dog breed in the U.S. I didn't know pit
Yeah,
bulls are banned, but people have pit bulls, right? People own pit
yeah, yeah.
bulls.
It's because a lot of them are, like I said, there's probably a lot more pit bull like mixed breeds in America than any other type of dog.
Why are they banned?
Apparently, it's because of there's a lot of accidents presiding with their like biting habits.
Oh, because they're aggressive. Oh, the
Apparently,
stigma is like as
yeah,
aggressive.
yeah, yeah.
Base stigma is as aggressive.
That
Interesting.
stigma kind of aligns with Chindo as well. But a feature of Chindo is that they don't do their business in that house
Which is a good thing for owners, or
most of the times, but it's also a bad thing because you have to take them for a walk
well, all the
like
time.
3 4 times a day. And
I see.
if you're not like I mean, I'm pretty lazy. I'm actually pretty lazy too, but
Uh huh.
because like I see her like holding it in, uh, like I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I have to go. So I do follow a schedule nowadays.
I see. I see.
Yeah. So even before I woke up at 6 a.m. at like Sunday morning just to take her out for a walk.
Yeah, that's what I am finding. It's like I think it's a pro and a con at the same time because
For
yes,
me
you,
it's a pro. It depends on the person. For me it's a pro because it
otherwise you wouldn't like keep
yeah.
a
Otherwise I
schedule.
wouldn't keep schedule or I wouldn't. At times I won't even leave my house for like a couple of days. So in that sense it's a pro.
I
It's also a
see.
pro because it keeps the house a lot more cleaner. But
Why?
it's
Oh,
really
because you
because
leave. Oh, and
yeah
she doesn't poo there.
yeah.
I
But
see.
it's also really annoying when it's like raining season in Korea. You know how it rains for like weeks at a time.
Yeah,
So like I have like an umbrella and I had to buy her like raincoat, doggy raincoat, so that I don't have to wash her every single time she like goes out for a freaking walk, which
I
is like
see.
2 3 times a day. But in my personally, it's a pro for me because puts me in like a schedule almost, a
Got it.
daily schedule.
Right, right. Which is good if you want that schedule. And then you now so pro number two or three and three, I guess,
Two
by
point
John here
five,
is like
yeah, yeah,
one, it's good for dogs. I'm sorry, it's good for babies and infants. It boosts their immune system, especially if they're
yeah,
introduced to a dog early on. Then pro number three for you is it keeps you on a schedule, and if you need that schedule in your life and routine, a dog can help with that.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. For me, that's a con. Uh,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
like
That's a
waking up
personal thing.
like
Yeah,
super early, like at 7 or 8:30, because I work late sometimes, and then if I have to wake up at like 7:30 just to like get my dog to pee, because we're crate training her, so she'll be in her crate, she'll be really good in her crate, but she'll have to pee, of course, and she also just wakes up, I think, pretty early, so like she starts barking and whining. It's just hard to sleep. One, because that sounds, but two, also you don't know if the dog's in distress and needs to pee, and you don't
yeah, that's
want to
true.
you don't want to be like the cause for the dog to pee inside the crate too. So you're just highly motivated to wake up. Yeah, it's hard for you to stay asleep, and it's like 7:30, but you're like so tired. So it can become a tiring, like difficult situation. So yeah, it's kind of a con for me. Like I find myself like looking towards the night, like late night, and finding peace in it, because like everybody's sleeping and I like have my time, my own time to myself too, and I can focus a little bit more too. But then that means my like hours get more extended. But the dog is still gonna wake up at 7:30, so like my sleep is reduced as well. So yeah, so con number two, um, it could cost to less sleep. It could lead to less sleep, and like there's more rigidity in your schedule, aka meaning less freedom in your schedule, which I think could be a con for many people.
I feel like I'm not sure if it's the most appropriate analogy to make, but a lot of your at least the first two cons right now you made,
Yeah.
you could the same cons could be made for having a kid.
It
Like,
is, but that's it's not an exclusive con. Yeah, so I think
yeah, yeah.
like
So like, no, because like I heard the exact same, like the whole like, oh, I don't like having to like alleviate more time. Like, I mean, I guess not like, but you have to alleviate more time for another living creature,
Right,
or
right.
like you have to push your schedule for them, or you wake up early and then, but they, I mean, you sleep late, but they still wake up early. I've heard the exact same
I think
whining
for
from a friend
babies
who
as well.
recently
Yeah,
had a baby. So I was
yeah.
like, dude,
But
yeah.
that's why people say like raising a puppy is like raising a kid, and I now I'm realizing I don't have. I mean, I've never had a kid,
Oh,
but
and I
I'm
forgot
like
why. It's yeah, you're raising that kid for. So apparently, a dog has like the mental capacity of like a 2-year-old.
oh, I
Some
can see
say
that,
some
and
say
that
it's like
makes
more, like up to like 4 or 5.
oh wow,
But I think it's like 2 to 3 is like a reasonable age because not all dogs are like exceptionally smart.
right,
Point being, but they're at that age for like 15 years.
right, right.
So you're raising a
It's
two
like you're
three
raising a
year old for
perpetual
15-year old.
baby.
Yeah.
If you want a
So
perpetual
that
baby,
that
get a
that
dog.
is that is something you really have to understand when you get a dog. I feel like a lot of people just think, oh, it's cute, or like, and then when they get bigger, they feel. I guess some people actually think like, oh, they'll calm down, oh, they'll like adjust to me. But then honestly, you're expecting like a baby to adjust to you, which is
Right.
really generous regarding their capacity to do
Yeah,
so.
their mental capacity and probably even behavioral capacity. Um, yeah. So I think like raising a puppy is like raising a kid, but I think
Yeah,
the
it's like a
difference with raising a kid for many people, if not, well, yeah, for many people, is the joy that they derive from the kids. Like, so the ultimate conclusion, I think, by the end of the podcast, I kind of want to communicate, at least from my stance, is you should raise a dog if the pros, especially if the joy you derive from a dog outweighs the cons. Um, for me, I don't know. I'm still making that decision, especially because my dog is not quite vaccinated yet, so we cannot take her out for walks, which I would probably enjoy. But for baby, I think for many people, they'll say, "Yeah, it brings me joy," and so much so that it will outweigh the same cons that I have for a puppy, but for a baby. But yeah, for me right now, I don't think that's necessarily the case. But I do it out of duty and joy of seeing my girlfriend happy. Hey,
I could make an argument there, but I won't because I feel like I like kids or having the concept of a family. But
you're right.
I've seen people who I've heard of people who don't innately enjoy being a parent and raise complaints about similar reasons
Right. And
as
but the
to the
thing
dog.
is
But the time is, but the
yeah,
responsibility of having a kid is like dialed up to 100 compared to a dog. And society views you to like innately love and like be happy with the baby. And
mm.
if you don't feel happy, you
So
probably
if
would.
we
I expect most people would pretend to be at least be happy.
I see,
So
I see. So you
I,
so if we extend kind of your like argument right here a little bit and your view, would you say that people who don't enjoy there may be some case where people who don't enjoy raising puppies and the cons are so large might then have a lot like a very difficult time raising a kid. Like
okay,
probably should not have kids.
I that's making a really big leap. Honest, obviously,
Yeah.
um,
Is that what you were
but
kind of going towards
I
a little
would
bit?
I would think, I'm not saying that just because you don't like raising a dog that you won't like having kids, but if you feel pressured from having the responsibility of raising a puppy, I would think you're not really probably wouldn't be
Ready
ready
to
to
have a
have a
kid?
kid. Yeah,
Here's my counter argument. So I feel like the podcast topic's a little bit shifting to raising a
yeah,
human
yeah.
baby or not,
We'll
which is
come back
great.
after this one. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's my counter argument. Babies will grow. Like they will not stay in that state of 2 year old forever. They will be able to talk. They will be able to learn. They'll go through different stages, right? And they'll reach levels of maturity that will make it much more comfortable to you so that if you set your rules in the house a certain way, um, they'll follow it better. You'll be able to communicate to understand your child's emotions better as well. That frustrations you might have with your puppy that you can't communicate, like you don't know why the puppy's like suddenly like pacing back and forth, or why what she's feeling when she's vomiting. Is it the stomach that's hurt? Is there some other area that's hurt? So those communication issues will get better as a child will grow. So it will get easier, but maybe like there will just be
Oh,
more
I don't know.
opportunities for it
Yeah,
to get easier. But for a
that
puppy,
that
though,
part I
for your
agree.
perpetual
Yeah.
baby, yeah,
So like you said, obviously probably around like even as like early as the age of like 2, 3, they will like babies will start communicating
Yeah.
maybe not as effectively as they would want, but they
Right.
would be, able to, communicate that they are in pain or something.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, that they do grow to communicate better, and you do grow to, like, understanding yourself and your relationship with the baby better. And
Yeah.
obviously, there's also a lot of different people that would help you out with the baby. Like, you're not gonna your parents or your friends or family aren't
That's
really going to
true.
help you out too much with the
Right.
dog. So there's a lot
Right.
more
That's true.
societal help that comes
That's a
with
great
having a
point.
baby.
Yeah.
So I agree that in the overall term, it's going to be more. It's more of a group thing for a baby, but I'm saying, like,
Mm.
because the reason why I thought of this was because I've seen people who, like, drop off dogs at, like, rescue centers, like, just like after 2 months of having them, they're like, oh yeah, I can't deal with the barking, I can't deal with the pooping and pissing. I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do when you have a kid? You're gonna have to deal with that for like a year and a half at least. And then obvious, but these are people who like, I've seen people who actually come, like, do this dogs as a pre-run for a baby, right?
Uh-huh.
So like, they were like, oh, we want to, have a see if we could have the responsibility of doing this, and then they would get a dog. I'm not sure if that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess, if you're yeah, I can't really say if that's a good choice or not, but I've seen that, and for those people, I was like, yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
they
that
would
could be a
be
very
good
like
for a
not thought
baby.
out decision. If you like say, "Oh,
Yeah,
I just
so
want to do it for a
if you,
run." Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's yeah,
Even the
that's why
situations,
I was like, it's a little too much of a jump to make compare this to having a baby, but that's a little something that I kind of felt, for personally, when I saw these cases.
like when you saw people complain about like the troubles that they have with the puppies, your
Yeah,
one of your reactions is like, it's gonna be a lot tougher with a child.
yeah, these were like
Yeah.
a lot of these family. Like I said, some of these families are actually, like, trying to adopt a dog just to see if they could, deal with having another living creature that is always in their, that always has them seeking, you know, attention, or like needing help from them,
As like
as
kind
like
of
a baby.
simulation for having a baby or
Yeah, so
uh
yeah, and I think that was their reasoning. They were kind of also hesitant on putting it that way, but that was the tone that they gave out with the whole
yeah,
adoption
yeah,
process,
I think there's so
which
many.
is, I understand it, but
Yeah. No, but I don't know if yeah. Well, that's another one where it goes like selfish,
yeah, it is a
as
selfish
well.
goal.
Yeah, and that I think is yeah. I don't know if that intention is great. Because like if you like if you get that dog for a year or two. And then you do it because you want to practice seeing how it is like taking care of something that's like a baby. You do it for 2 years. You probably got your practice. Like 2 years of raising a dog probably like served your purpose. And if you're still not attached to the dog, then you're probably inclined to like give it away too. So that would be like if that was your selfish reason, there might be a lot of scenarios if that was your motivations that would harm the dog because then you would give away the dog a little bit and then like the dog would need shelter or whatnot too. So there are instances I think of like selfish motivations of you having a dog that would probably lead to also long-term harmful um, situations or just not optimal situations for dogs.
Oh, there are a lot of instances
Yeah.
of that, man.
But yeah, so there are instances where selfishness can be bad. Selfishness I think can be good too. I think if your selfishness is mixed in with like is tied in with your care for your dog, like you get happy as you care for the dog too, then that's probably like a good thing too. Like the selfishness leads to a good result. But if your selfishness is tied without care, without some sort of intention for care for the dog, or um, without like sparking like an emotional care response from you for the dog, then it's probably not going to be great for the dog. That's my stance. I
I
think.
I think
Um,
that stance can be held for a various
Many
number
things.
of,
I think
yeah,
the things that you learn from a dog probably are lessons. It's a kind of a chicken and egg. Maybe the lessons that you learn from a baby is applicable for a puppy, but the lessons you learn from a puppy is also applicable for a baby. But yeah, I feel like the lessons and experience that you have with a dog are a lot more universal than just limited to one puppy. Um,
yeah.
what were we
Um,
saying? Oh,
yeah,
go.
just, I guess, going off of the baby thing now, just
Oh,
to kind of bring it back to my conclusion,
uh
since we're
huh.
kind of approaching the 50-minute mark ish.
We are. Wow. Nice.
Uh, Mine was that I actually agree that you have to consider a lot of things before getting a dog. I personally won't suggest getting a dog to a lot of people unless one they've had experience, like fully raising a dog from, like, maybe not to birth, because you could adopt one, but at least to death, because it's not a easy process, and there is a lot of responsibility that comes to it. Like you said, you have to adjust a lot of your personal schedules or your personal needs to another living creature's needs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like I have a lot of bad thoughts about like a lot of my some of my in a lot of our podcasts I try to like shine Korea in a good light, but some of the one of the few space
I think
spots that
sometimes you
I
actually, yeah, betray some not so favorable thoughts about
no
Korea
I
here and there.
I try to
Uh-huh.
maintain very positive about the location I'm living
Mhm.
in because I'm not planning on moving anytime soon, so it
Uh-huh.
helps to see it in a
Fi-
better light. But
Agreed, for sure.
one of the
Yeah.
things that I have always have a hard time
Embracing.
like embracing as a good part of society is how the treatment of animals in Korea. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
getting better. Definitely, it's gotten better since when I was young, and there's a lot of public outcry and calls to make the situation better, not only for
Hmm.
dogs but just animal cruelty in general.
Yeah.
It does also adjust like affect my view of this because I occasionally, quite I mean, I guess regularly visit these locations where animals are treated,
Yeah.
where animals that are treated bad like end up. So maybe that does affect my view of this, but I think seeing all that would make me actually hesitant to say, yeah, go buy a dog or go adopt a dog. Really,
I
unless
see.
you're going to really commit to
Caring for the
taking
dog.
care of this life creature, like
Uh-huh.
this living creature for like at least 10 to apparently some of them live to like 20 now, like the smaller dogs live to like 20 years old. So
Oh
dude,
wow.
that's a long time. That's
That is a
like
long time.
longer
That's your
than
young
like
adulthood.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
your young adulthood. Like,
Yeah.
because honestly, if when you're really gonna take care of it, honestly, like when you're like 10 or like a kid, when you get a dog, it's honestly kind of your parents taking care of your dog. But
Yeah.
when you get it as an adult, personally from your personal choice, you really have to consider the fact that you should you're bringing in taking in a life, and
You're taking it to
you
life.
would
Yeah.
be responsible for it for pretty much until at least you have a kid.
Or even to be until the death of the dog, the whole life of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dog.
Obviously,
You
until
know.
the death of the dog. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm really hesitant. So you should really study up on what it is to get a dog, like what sort of downsides it is. So I feel like listening to the cons is probably better than listening to the pros. There's always too much
Mhm.
pros. You gotta when you're making
Really,
a decision like
I
this.
feel
I
like there
feel
are
like
more
there's a lot of
cons than pros. So you think I
no,
guess
no,
you
no.
think there are more
There's
pros.
there's more people that say pros than that point out the cons.
Oh
That's what I'm
really?
saying.
I see.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean maybe because I'm
So
around people that like dogs more, I hear the pros more. But
yeah,
you should
yeah,
hear the cons
yeah,
before you
it's
make a big
confirmation
decision. My
bias.
point being, yeah.
So I mean, within your recommendation though, like let's say a person like me or someone else, if they're willing to take care of the dog for the entirety of their life, but they don't quite enjoy it, should that person is that would you say it's okay for that person to own a dog, or would you still recommend against owning a dog? Because I would recommend against owning a dog, but let's say versus someone like who just looks at all the pros and like enjoys a dog for like 2 years, but like no, I can't handle it, versus someone else who's like a lot more detached but will take care of the dog, give all of its needs, maybe not like maximally if it's like emotional, like make it like super happy, but it will take care of its like base emotional, base physical needs, feeding it, taking care of its piss or whatnot. Would you recommend a person like that over someone that's like passionate about owning a dog for like 2 years? Probably, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like if the passion of owning the dog is gonna like die out in 1 or 2 years and you're just gonna like give the dog away. I don't. That's not good for the dog. That's probably not good for you either because what does that say about you? Your passion dies out so early.
Yes, but you for those 2 years you were really happy with the dog. So for
That
you
yeah
it's probably
yeah
a good decision.
yeah. I would not recommend it for that. I
Right.
would rather recommend it for people who actually. I don't know why they would get a dog, but they maybe if they don't get a dog, they don't like you know gain too much joy from getting a dog, but they still have the responsibility or like innate
Yeah,
responsibility
because they
to like
now
take care of that dog
recognize it
forever.
as like a life.
Exactly.
So that
I would
they
rather
can't
have those people get dogs than those head in first. Like, yeah, I want a
like
dog.
more like
Those type of
passion
people. Yeah,
headed, like
yeah.
short sighted, yeah, owners. So for me, I feel like it's more exclusive. The people who should own dogs, it should be people who I have found. I think people who really enjoy dogs and really take care of dogs are just somewhat more like naturally caring. Um, uh, I think they have that propensity. So not I wouldn't recommend owning a dog for people I think more like me who like now recognize it as life, so they feel a duty to responsibility to make sure all their needs and the medical needs, their health needs are attended to, I wouldn't recommend it for those people because it really can be a detriment to that person's life too.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like my life revolves so much around the dog, so much more. Well, I wasn't quite ready for it. Like in a day, my life seemed to like change quite a bit. So if yeah, if it doesn't give you that much value, I wouldn't recommend it. So I feel like the exclusive group of people I would recommend it to is people who really, really get a lot of joy from owning a dog and can sustain it, like you said, for like long periods of time until the full duration of the life for the dog. Um, and then as a bonus, maybe people who are slightly like just naturally more caring, like that's like almost like an instinctive, like second nature to them.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. I don't think
yeah,
like a lot of people may derive joy from having a dog, but I don't think it's really for everyone. I'm
yeah.
not saying just because you could have a dog doesn't mean make you special or like better, but like everyone has priorities in their life, and a dog really just really does kind of put your priorities.
It
It
should be
makes you
almost at
shift
the
a lot.
top of it.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
makes you shift your priorities a lot. So
yeah,
it really depends on the
on a
person or the
daily
lifestyle
basis too.
yeah, on a lifestyle you take. Honestly, like I after my dog dies probably. She's old and
Oh,
she had cancer, and it was a successful surgery, but it was a
oh,
bad type of
good.
cancer. So
Is it a
uh,
recession now? Like remission? I mean,
but it has a really high chance of coming back.
coming
So,
back.
and the next time it comes back, I don't think we could do a surgery because she's pretty weak now. But
Oh
point being,
no.
uh, that's a process I'll have to go through. But after that, I don't think I'm getting a dog at least
Oh really?
until like I'm really settled in life
And
because
you have
I'm
family.
probably gonna be living alone after a while,
Uh huh.
and I can't take care of a dog at the same time as living alone. Like who's
Versus
gonna
with living with a family, your own
yeah,
family
if
too.
I'm living
Yeah,
with the family, I could,
rely on
alleviate a
them.
lot of yeah, rely on them. Like I could, if I even if I live alone, I guess I could take them for walks, but there will be like long hours when the dog's gonna be itself by itself. So I personally think I could take care of a dog, but I don't think it would be for the best
Yeah.
situation.
And I think you
And
bring up another point too. Like if you're at a certain stage in your life that's a little bit more stable and that's
yeah,
less like variable, then maybe you can have like
exactly.
that's a more favorable condition to have a dog. I think that's a
So
big
yeah,
point.
next
Yeah.
time I probably have a dog is the time when I get like married or
A
have
family.
a
Yeah, I
family.
think
But then
yeah.
again, it wouldn't really be solely on my choice too, because then I would
Then
have
you
to
have to ask for your
accommodate for
spouse.
my spouse and kids and whatnot. That's why I said before, like, dude, I want my wife to like dogs because I really want to get a dog in the future again.
Yeah, I also think that's kind of like I don't know about you, but I have found that people like who've had siblings are just again I keep bringing up naturally caring or not, but like they're just second nature kind of more considerate, like it's embedded in them too. So I don't know if that's like a like not a red flag, but like what is it, like a bonus flag that you look for people
Red
like one of you
flag.
not yeah you well, I was like what is the opposite of red flag, but one of the flags are like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think like
okay.
oh yeah I can kind of like maybe see myself liking that person, like those kind of signs. For you maybe it's like if they have a puppy or if they like puppies. For you that's like maybe like a favorable kind of sign of the person. It's not like a judgment kind of thing.
Yeah,
Maybe it
I
is
don't
a
want to
judgment
like
in a
make it
way,
up.
but
I don't want to make it seem like by having a puppy you innately
but
have more
right. But if you
you're
have a
better with
puppy, but
responsibilities.
if you have a great relationship with your puppy, for you, doesn't that mean like a positive thing for the person?
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely for me personally. Yeah,
Yeah. So
but
logically,
there is also doubts inside me going like, does she does this person really take care of this thing?
puppy, yeah.
Yeah, or is it just like for their purely selfish reason? They're just once they get tired of it, they're gonna throw it away, kind of thing. So
Right, but
there is like a little
if
seed of doubt
but
there.
if you found like a girl walking around and then you know that she's been raising this puppy for like 16 years, this dog looks absolutely happy and just has complete great mental state, you probably like give a lot of bonus points to
Yeah,
that
that
person you're
would
talking
be a
probably, right?
very good sign
It'd
for
be
me.
very good positive, right?
Yeah, it would be a positive for sure.
Yeah. We all yeah. I have my own kind of like oh my dog's barking now. I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, we all have like our own like not pet peeves. Like what's the opposite of pet peeve? Um like favorable telltale signs for a person that you like kind of gravitate towards. I guess
Oh
for you
yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those, and then for me it's
I
something
mean,
else.
like for people, what you just mentioned could be a major like turning off point. I've went on a date where the girl was like, "Yeah, I don't think we could do like go well in the long term because she really didn't like dogs, and she realized like pretty quickly that, well, obviously because like my profile picture was like dogs and shit, but
Uh-huh.
she was like, yeah, I don't really like dogs, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, kind of thing. So
And that was over.
no, it wasn't over because of that, but that was one of the things that we did not see eye to eye on. But she was like, she like had a passion for not liking dogs. Like she brought it up so often. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna like bring my dog to a date with you. Why are you like bringing it up so much?
I think that's also maybe just indicative of different behavior.
Yeah,
Some
so I
people
was
just
like,
like
yeah, okay.
expressing like hate and dislike.
Anyway,
Um,
that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is it's a big decision, and you really should think hard on it and
yeah,
about your lifestyle and how it's going to affect your lifestyle
and your
before
life
you do it.
stage as well,
Yeah,
where you
yeah, yeah.
can like.
Stage. The stage is actually really important too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
at a
don't think.
stage where I don't think I could have a dog anymore after this one for a
Yeah.
while at least.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that about your dog. Hopefully, yeah,
Yeah, I just hope
yeah,
that she kind of passes on peacefully without much pain.
with pace, yeah. We're
Yeah.
we're thinking about spaying Ellie as well at some point,
Oh, it is healthier.
especially what?
Yeah, I
Yeah, especially
it's
because
healthier.
you told me before about your dog too, and you
Yeah,
were thinking about they were like you were reflecting back as to what would have been the good decision and
yeah.
whatnot too.
She her cancer derived because she wasn't spayed originally, and it's not every day. And honestly, when I talked to the doctor after the surgery, they were like, "Yeah, it's really actually rare that they have a uh, really bad tumor, like a
If they get spayed
cancerous
early,
tumor."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my dog wasn't spayed until really late, so
I heard that
they're
too. Yeah, so it's not a matter of just getting spayed; it's about getting spayed like very early, like
yeah, you
either
should do it at like
before the
pre.
first heat is what I've heard.
Yeah, but
But even
I'm
after slightly, I think
yeah,
is not bad.
this is something you should really consult with your vet. Honestly,
Yeah.
my vet's like suggested it to us too. Even like she came in pretty late, like she was like 2 3 years old, so she was already past the stage where they would honestly recommend it for health
Bless you.
reasons.
Uh-huh.
But honest, even then, it would have probably still helped to do it right away.
Yeah.
We did it. We didn't do it because some of our family members thought it was inappropriate
Inhumane.
for us, inhumane for
Yeah.
us to make that decision. And I did somewhat agree to them. That's why I didn't push on it. But kind of looking back, I was like, yeah, I should just pushed on it
Yeah.
because
I
like
mean,
my dog had a lot of allergies, and it also helps with like your dog's allergy issues too.
oh, if you get spayed.
Yeah, like after she
Yeah.
got spayed, like she could eat like any food without any issues. But previously, like my dog could only eat like those like crappy dog food. Like she can't have like any snacks. She couldn't have any dairy like cheese or stuff like that. Where she would
Oh,
like just like flay up all around her eyes. Her eyes would get swollen, and she would start like scratching and bleeding everywhere. So I was like,
oh,
damn, if I knew it was gonna be this much of a difference, I would have done it like years ago.
yeah. There's a lot of
So
moral decision making as
yeah,
well
it's a
when it
lot of
comes to
more.
a
Yeah, there is a
dog.
lot more decision coming from because it's the life and
Yeah, but I mean, when
and
you have a baby too, and we're drawing so
oh
much
yeah, yeah,
analogy for a
obviously,
baby,
yeah.
you'll have to
I'm
make a
not.
decision.
And honestly, I'm not sure if it's really appropriate to draw this analogy with babies, but it's. I,
Well, you circumcise your babies, right?
oh yeah, well,
Generally,
I
that
don't know.
too. That's a decision
That's
you're
true.
making
Yeah,
on a surgery and a body part without your baby's consent. I mean, that's it's. I wouldn't say it's comparable to spaying for many reasons, but there'll be many decisions that you're going to be making for your baby health wise that the baby can't make for themselves too, and it's okay. You're making the best decision that you can too, and I think the same would go for a dog too. And even if and to extend upon the analogies, just meta analysis and analogies that we're making with a puppy and a baby, I think that's natural. Like raising a baby, raising a puppy, so many parallels. So
there are a lot of parallels, but
yeah,
I
it's a
know a lot
valid
of people don't
analogy.
like it. That's why I'm like really
Oh
hesitant to
really?
make this analogy.
It's a very valid analogy. I feel.
It is value add,
Yeah.
but obviously a lot of people who are having babies with who actually are actually raising babies would beg to differ.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so
Anyway,
my
yeah,
conclusion, my so that your conclusion depends on your life stage. Make sure you can take care of the puppy for the whole duration of the dog's life. Um, yeah, make sure your lifestyle also fits the dog. For me really still it comes down to if the value of raising a dog outweighs the cons. And I think you mentioned like even for like a baby, you have a cons of what you have for a puppy as well. But I think for some people the value of having a baby is that much more significant, even if the cons are even that much harder for a baby
Hopefully, it's
than
for
a
most
puppy.
people. Yeah, rather than some
Yeah,
people.
I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully it's for most people, but there are abusive families and there
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah. I
people who
know.
aren't ready to
Yeah,
have babies as well. But I think the value of having a baby can be that much more greater for people. One, because for evolutionary reasons as well, too. Like if
yeah.
you have a baby, your a lot of your bloodline carries on too. And I don't know if people are ready to admit that or ready or not, but we're kind of like hardwired, given the evolutionary reasons, to have that sort of subconscious evolutionary
Oh yeah,
motivation.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of value having baby that you don't have necessarily for having a dog, unless you have certain personality traits, and you're neurologically and you just derive more pleasure than other people that in having a dog. So yeah, have a dog if I think what you said is very accurate too. So that, but I think I would add that plus if the value of having a dog from the perspective of an owner, if the value of having a dog outweighs the cons, then have a dog. From the perspective of like what's a good decision, probably your advice works, but I think I'm speaking more of like perspective of having an owner, whether you want to have a dog or not.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Like my advice came from a perspective where you already kind of want a dog, and you're trying making the decision of want like having a dog or not. But if you like, there are situations where someone else wants a dog, but you personally don't want a dog. Like my mom didn't really want a dog, but me and my dad and my brother wanted a dog. That was the situation that happened. So in the end, it's not for everyone, like you said, and
yeah,
it's every decision you make. Honestly, as a human, I feel like it comes from like a you know plus minus analysis, like how much value does this bring into your life.
yeah,
And if a dog isn't worth that, even if you it doesn't matter if you like it or hate dogs in general, it's not worth it. Like
yeah.
it's
Agreed.
it's not good for the dog. It's not good for you. And if there's no reason to make your life worse by bringing in a big responsibility, if it leads to less value
Yeah,
in regards to how you spend your time and how you carry on your daily life. So I agree
yeah,
with you fully on that too.
yeah. I think your recommendation and my recommendation aren't like contradictory. They're probably
Yeah, it's not that
supplementary.
different.
They're
Yeah,
probably supplementary. Like so,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, weigh both before making a decision about owning a dog. All
Well,
right.
on that note,
Uh-huh.
good luck on raising that dog for like the
Yeah,
next 12, 13 years around.
yeah. Well, I think it's. I'm really hoping it gets better after we get her fully vaccinated, so that we can take
Yeah,
her
it'll
out
be a
and
lot
try
more
her out.
fun when like dogs get mature too. Like they get a lot more calmer, and they do adjust somewhat to your lifestyle. Like you'll see it a lot, but
Oh
and
yeah,
that
I didn't even consider that. I was just thinking like
they
me just
do adjust.
adjusting
Like
to
it's
dog's
yeah, they
lifestyle.
do adjust. They do adjust.
Good. That's
It's
good to
actually pretty
hear.
interesting to see that. Uh,
Interesting.
there's a lot of interesting things that you see, and like you do these dumb experiments with your dog, like humane, like personality experiments. I'm not saying like you do crazy
Yeah,
illegal
yeah.
ones.
Understood. Yeah,
And my
yeah.
point being, like, yeah, I'll tell you how it goes when my
Yeah,
dog
we'll have
passes
more
on.
podcasts like this. We'll
Yeah,
have different topics. But
man, I'm gonna be so depressed when my dog dies,
I do, yeah.
dude.
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah,
to
you know our
how we
mutual
do.
friend, like the other one,
Uh-huh.
like one, like I'm not sure if he told you. I think you probably know that his dog passed away, right? Like
Depends on
last
the
year or
mutual
something.
friend we're talking
The
about.
one you shared your photo with,
I share
the
my photo
male
with a
one,
lot of the
the
male
male
one.
one. Yeah, in our group chat, the green app.
Oh, that
No,
was
but
such a
like
good way of saying it. That was like a game
no,
of charades. Yeah, yeah.
he
Oh, his
really
dog
liked
passed
dogs
away.
too.
Oh,
He
his
really
dog
liked
passed
dogs.
away.
Yeah, and he raised it from like a baby, like 2, 3 months old, all the way to like he passed away.
How is he
So
doing?
he was so like devastated by it, man. He like
When did the
he,
dog pass away?
like last early this year, I think.
Early this year. Okay,
Early
so
this year or like late last year.
is he okay now, or is he still like
He's
grieving?
he's still coping with it. Like he's like his his like his acquaintances want to get a dog, but he's like, yeah, I don't think I could raise a dog anymore. Like so, it's
It was so hard that loss,
the
huh?
joy of raising
As
a dog,
hard as you
even if you
love a
like it.
dog, the
Yeah,
harder it
you're. It's
is
gonna
when
be
you lose
so
a
hard to
dog.
lose it. That's what I'm really afraid
Uh,
of that too, because like
I was afraid of
I
that
said in
too.
the beginning too,
Yeah.
because like I've raised dogs before, but I've never had to like see my dog die because I had to like leave them with the acquaintance when I moved to a different country because we couldn't take them at the time.
Dude,
And my
this
brother
is
was really sick, and so I'm really worried about how I'm gonna deal with my dogs and too. So
dude, this
yeah,
whole decision making that you're doing, I'm like we're making this analogy quite a bit, but this is like also applicable to so many different life decisions as well.
It is. It
Like
is.
some people, I think we don't need to go so deep right now, but like some people are like they don't want to love someone deep down also because like if they lose that person, it's gonna hurt a lot too. Oh, so many like different parables that you can draw from
Yeah, but I mean,
raising a
I'm still
dog.
at the perspective of like that lifetime I gave to
Of
love
loving a dog
that
is worth
person or
more
that
than the
dog
loss.
is, yeah, worth the loss in the
Yeah.
end. But who knows? I haven't really seen that loss yet, so
Again,
maybe
it's a
my opinion will change.
yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm at a
Yeah.
loss for
Okay.
words when you tell me that your dog's gonna pass at some point too. I don't know what to say, but
Yeah, I give her like 1 or 2 years.
damn. Well, I'm here if you do. Our friend and our mutual friend and I are here
Yeah.
when
No,
that
but
happens.
honestly, I didn't know what to say to him either. I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for
yeah.
your loss, kind of thing.
Oh man,
I hope he's doing better. I mean, like, yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
that's like all I have to say for that, I guess.
yeah. Well, what a very tragic but also beautiful note in
Realistic.
a way. In a way, it's beautiful too. You love hard, but also the loss is hard as well. Um, but yeah, anyway, this podcast was just more about the pros and cons of raising a dog. Even what you were just saying, love hard, but the loss is also hard. And then you just said if the love is worth more than the loss, that was a pro and con
Yeah,
decision right
that is a
there. That
pro
was
and
a
con
pro
decision.
and con decision right there. So many concepts that we discussed about raising a dog that's like very applicable to many life decisions and situations. But anyway, that said, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast of where we just discuss the pros and cons of raising a dog. It's like past 9 a.m. I think at
Yeah, and I
Sunday
gotta
for you.
go.
So hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend, dude. Stay here a little bit just so that I capture all the audio. But
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, bye to our listeners. Bye.
Bye. Have a great week.